Hello there, this is Maddie coming to you from my little home studio. And for today's video, I thought I would just simply dispense some very simple, very basic drawing tips. Very simple, very basic, but nonetheless very important. And especially geared toward that individual who is maybe wanting to improve in their realism, in their representationalism. Again, very simple, very basic. So here we go, let's get started. And let me get this out of the way. And in an effort to keep the video short, I have gone ahead and pre-drawn the examples. So here we go. Move this out of the way. So you're wanting to improve with your representationalism, with your realism. My 3 tips for today are: number 1, draw from a reference. Drawing from your imagination is great. But again, if you want to improve your representationalism, your realism, work from a reference, preferably a 3D reference. That means the actual object, if it's possible. If it's not possible, if you want to draw something that it's kind of impractical, do what I do. When I'm practicing, I like to purchase these little models. They're actually toys, I guess, but they're 3-dimensional and they can be, quite some good practice. So, number 1 tip, draw from a 3D reference. Number 2, keep it light until it's right. And I know that sounds a bit silly, but it really works. Erasing your mistakes is so much easier when you keep it light. Also, dark outlines can definitely deter from the 3D effect. And in order to prove that, or to give you a quick glimpse of that, I went ahead and did something like this. Okay, if you notice, it has a really dark outline around it, and it may look very neat, and it may have its place in the art world, if you're into graphic art or illustrations. But if you're working to try to improve your realistic interpretations, then yeah, keep it light until it's right. Okay, so let's move on. Try adding some shading. And this is one where I have seen some students, some people, take a very simple sketch and turn it into an amazing drawing just by adding shading. Now you might want to ask, or you might think, well, okay, I'm going to shade, but how do I know where to shade? Well, that's really quite simple. I went ahead and, again, a little example right here, and to prove my point a little bit, I went ahead and drew a very simple circle, of course, and it looks like a circle. It's very, very flat with a little bit of shading. Voila. And we've seen this before. You have seen this before. However, knowing about the different types of shadow can really help you as you start to approach your shading in any one of your sketches. Look very closely. These are the areas that you must, or you should, hone in on. Where do we shade? Well, first of all, create a light source, or better yet, set up a light source. Once you set up the light source, you will actually see this. And now this is very basic, but it will get you far. You have your light source, and common sense tells us that the area closest to the light source is going to be the lightest. That is my highlight. The area in between is what we call the halftone, and then we have what we call the core shadow, which is a very dark area, which is usually furthest away from your light source, of course. And in this case, it's in this crescent shape because it follows the shape of the form. Then we have the cast shadow, which is a shadow that is created by the object. And we have something else which is very important and is very often overlooked, and that is the reflected light. Reflected light is that light that comes here, bounces off the surface, and back onto the object. And that, in a nutshell, is the areas, that you need to focus on when learning or including some shadows into your pieces. Now, some students or some people like to smooth out their strokes. Now, you can do this by keeping your pencil strokes very close together, or you can use a tortillon, which looks like this, or a stump, which looks like this. And basically, they're very similar. They're used to sort of blend away your strokes. They work beautifully, much better than the fingertip, because the fingertip can leave a lot of oils. You don't want that. Oil, and then it leaves fingerprints. Not good. So again, if you want to blend out your strokes, use the tortillon or the stump. And I usually recommend following the shape of the form. Okay? Again, take a close look. We've got your light source, your highlight. By the way, I went ahead and added some charcoal white because I'm working with a gray paper. And so the charcoal white looks like this. Okay? And then, of course, we've got our halftone. We have our coarse shadow, our cast shadow, and our reflected light. Okay, so there you have it. These are my tips for today, keeping it very, very simple, very basic, if you are wanting to improve with your representationalism. Again, draw from a reference, preferably a 3D. In other words, drawing from life. Have the object in front of you. If you can do this as often as possible. It will sharpen your observation skills, and of course your drawing skills will follow. Keep it light until it's right. And last but not least, try adding some shading. And remember, focus on these areas. Okay, so hopefully that'll help. And what I want to do next time for the next video is I want to actually put this to work. I want to show you where I would put these different types of shadows. So please stay tuned, come back, and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.